Alright folks, here's something I want to show you in Skyrim. Weapon mods. Someone actually made Albion swords for Skyrim, which is pretty neat. It's not all the same person, it's actually three different modders, and I'm going to post the links to the mods down below in the video description in case you want to get those. So, let's start out with this one here. That's the only fantasy design, the Sherwood. So this is basically a fantasy Robin Hood sword, and despite being fantasy, it would be perfectly usable. I mean, Albion made that sword, and yeah, you could fight with it if you had to. You can see it's not overly thick. It's not extremely large or anything. It has a nice thin blade. And, well, it just looks quite neat, in my opinion. And sometimes you see the argument from people that fantasy swords in video games are oversized so that you can see them, implying that otherwise you wouldn't be able to see them, but I don't know what the problem is supposed to be with that. I mean, I can still see that sword even when I zoom out all the way. I don't really have a problem with that. If you can't see properly proportioned and realistically shaped weapons in video games, then maybe you just need prescription glasses. It's not like they have to be realistic in a video game, because it is just a video game, yeah, I know. But I just think they look better. It's simply because they look more elegant, and, you know, they're not like clunky steel paddles. Next one here, the Baron. Let's take a look at that one. So this is a battlefield longsword, also called a war sword. This is from the late 13th and early 14th centuries. And again, very well done. It's definitely properly modeled. You see it has a fairly thin guard and thin blade, just as they were. You know, perfectly realistic, but also just aesthetically pleasing. The next one, the Chieftain. This is basically the Scottish take on the war sword. Most people know it as a claymore. This is from a later period than the Baron. This would be from the 16th century. Also great work. It's really an accurate representation of the actual Chieftain made by Albion. It's very close to the real thing. I don't know why, but for some reason the modder made it one-handed. I don't get that. That doesn't really make any sense. This is definitely a designed for two-handed use, especially also since it's downscaled. It should be larger. It should be longer, actually. So this is, at least from what I can tell, there is a one-handed version of both the Baron and this one here, the Cluny, as well, but they look strange. Especially this one is significantly downscaled in the one-handed version, and it just looks completely wrong because the proportions are all off. The handle gets very, very skinny and flimsy looking. But the two-handed one is very nice. This is actually from Albion's museum line. This is a reproduction of a longsword in the National Museum of Medieval Art in Paris. It's from the late 15th century. It has this peculiar feature here, a leather rain guard that's supposed to, well, as you can imagine, prevent water from seeping into the handle past the opening in the guard, because moisture under the grip would of course be a big problem. Would rust the tang. But yeah, this is a particularly nice example. The real one is too. And it looks great in the hand. Very nice. The posture that the character has by default is not very good. The character is not gripping the sword properly. Hands are way too close together, but oh well. That's very typical in games. But the sword in and of itself looks quite nice. Then there is the Vassal, which is one of my favorites among the swords that Albion offers. So this is a 14th century falchion. It has a comparatively short single-edged blade, at least compared to most arming swords. And this is really fantastic work. I mean, the model looks great. Very well shaped. It's an extremely good representation of the original. And you can even see the sharpened false edge here on the back. This looks really damn good. Quite like that one. See that in the hand. This looks really beautiful. This also seems to be the exact right scale. So great job on that. Very nice. Nice scabbard as well. This is the Auxilia, a Roman spatha, basically a long version of the gladius. Originally a cavalry sword, and then later used by infantry as well, which eventually replaced the gladius. This was from around the 2nd century. Also very nice model. The handle is definitely very accurate. Good looking sword, and again, definitely fits with this outfit. That makes sense. A Celt would certainly be more comfortable with a spatha, since they would be used to longer blades compared to the gladius, I mean. So yeah, there you have it. I was pretty surprised to see mods of Albion swords in the game. Didn't know that anyone actually made those. Well, I mean, obviously I'm not the only one who likes them. They are well made and everything. And they provide all the specifications, so it makes it fairly easy to model them. So again, the links will be in the video description if you want to check those out. And I can also link to the mod that gives you this houseboat here. It's called the Serenity. It's a really nice player home. Definitely like that one. Everything nice and organized. But the video, of course, is not about that. So, thanks for watching.